Welcome back to Something for That Ass podcast. I'm Brooklyn.
And I'm Lenna Love.
And this is our special guest.
I'm Candace from Nude and Nurture.
So I met you through doing a service. I got a lymphatic
Massage.
Yes.
And clay scraping.
Yes, my first time. And then I came a second time to you and we had really good conversation and I wanted you on the podcast. But before we get into those questions, talk about what you do, where you're located, what services you provide, all that.
So Nude and Nurture is a med spa in Rancho Cucamonga, California. We do various things. Majority is post-op. So anybody who does surgery, liposuction, tummy tuck, mommy makeovers, BBLs, all that good stuff. We cater to the post-op and surgery community. We have relationships with all the top surgeons within the U.S., California, as well Mexico and Turkey. We also do a lot of holistic measures. So we do wood therapy, cavitation, body sculpting, facials. I have 3 lash artists that are independently there, a waxer, a nail girl. We have a practitioner that provides Ozempic, semaglutide, all the, fad weight loss stuff. We also have a nurse that does Botox. So we are a full functioning med spa at this point in Rancho Cucamonga. And then we also have a second location, also in Rancho, that's a hair salon. So that's all hair. Okay. So under the self-care umbrella, we do basically everything.
Everything.
Wow.
And I just want to clarify, mine wasn't post-op. I was just going.
No, she is 1,000% natural. I can verify, check that for sure.
Yes, thank you. Because I think
you get a lot of that, huh?
Yes.
So do I, though. A lot of people think I have a BBL. Did you think I had a BBL?
No, I feel like you could tell you're naturally.
Yeah,
thick.
I feel like the celluliteness gives that natural.
Oh no, I just think you have like. You have
good.
like a natural, beautiful shape, but
shape.
You are definitely curvy.
I think in the industry that I'm in, it's always questionable.
Yes.
I think it's questionable out in these streets at this point with everyone, but people always think I have BBL. But I have had things done, so we can always talk about that. Maybe on another podcast
yes. Well, you look amazing.
Thank you.
So when I was getting my treatment, we were talking, and she made a comment saying, "Oh yeah, I was a 40-year-old bride," and I just thought she was throwing out a number. I don't know why, just because. Well,
like
not,
I
know why.
40?
I think I know why. It's because you look really amazing. So I wasn't registering that you were actually 40 at the time. And I was like, oh, cool. And then you said it again. And I was like, wait, are you actually 40? And you're like, yeah, I'm not just saying 40-year-old bride to say. It's not just like a saying out there. And so I want to talk about that because we get a lot of, what do I want to call it? A lot of threats. So threats that we're going to be alone forever.
You're not.
I guess we'll call it that. But yeah, we get a lot like, well, the clock is ticking. You're going to be 30 and like time's going to fly by and you're going to be 30 and you're going to be alone. And you're going to die alone. A lot of self-projecting comments, right?
It is. And I think 30 is always the number in society's head. I don't know how that started, but it's always if you're not married by 30, if you don't have kids by 30, if you don't have a career that's your passion by 30, if you don't own a home by 30, it's always 30. So I'm definitely not that stereotype. And I love the fact that I got married at, I guess you would consider in stereotype, an older age, right? So there's a lot of good and a lot of pros that come with that. Being 40 years old and barely being married, I'm essentially a newlywed. So
can you explain to the crowd what? Closer? Oh, okay. Can you explain what you see the benefit in waiting till you're older? Doesn't matter the age, but just older.
Just older in general.
Yeah.
When I say older in general, in my mind, I think 30 and up or 35 and up. It doesn't have to be 40, but there's so many pros. The first that comes to mind is the fact that when I got married at 40, I had already spun the block a million times. I've dated it all. I've done it all. I've dated all different types of men of walks of life. And you gain life experience. You gain wisdom in relationships. So I kind of made all my mistakes early on. And I didn't make those mistakes with the person that I'm going to marry. I didn't make those mistakes with the person that I know is my forever person or that I want to spend the rest of my life with. So I was able to learn my life lessons first which we all do. We all have to. And go into this marriage just more mature, more patient, more loving, more ready to be settled down. Because essentially it does take time to want to be settled down, whether it be financially or just even home, you know, not out so much or whatever it works for your marriage. I was mentally stable at 40. And, you know, the truth is a lot of us aren't in our 20s. You know, we're going through so much, whether it be struggling to provide for yourself financially, or you're going to school, or you're dating and you don't even know really essentially what your type is. Looking back now in hindsight, I thought I knew my type back then, but it's not my type now. And that's only through time and wisdom that you only get as you age. How can you at 22 know what you want? And you don't even know yourself, you know, at 22. I feel like, I mean, even, don't they say that the brain isn't even mentally
fully developed
by 25 until 25?
Yes.
And then with men, what does that mean? Like 20?
Yeah, they're like
30?
3 years behind or something.
So for that reason, I just think that you're just you have emotional intelligence at an older age that only time and experience can give you.
Yes.
And I want to give that to my person.
Yeah. That's 100% fair. I always say like what I liked, you know, in my 20s is not what I'm going to like when I'm in my 30s. No. I just know that for a fact. Because even what I liked a few years ago is not what I like now.
No, not at all.
Where did you meet your husband?
So that's a funny story because we actually went to high school together.
Okay.
But I didn't know him in high school. He was a grade or two older than me, and he was in a different crowd. So he always says that he knew who I was. I didn't know who he was.
That's all
he even says like, oh, we had PE together. And I'm like, I had no idea. I don't know who you were. So I didn't know him then. And then years later, I bought a couch off of him. And I remember thinking, okay, and we went to high school together, you know, so-and-so and so-and-so. And I didn't think anything of it because at the time I bought a couch from him and I went with my boyfriend at the time to pick up the couch, not knowing that was going to be my future husband.
Oh, wow.
So I guess technically high school, but I didn't know him then. But years later, I started following him because we did have mutual friends. And I never admit this to him, but he's going to know now. He says I slid in his DM in a sense because he had posted something and I just commented on it. And then we just started talking from there. And then we ended up going out. And then that's like the rest is history, you know?
So he was checking out that natural BBL and
yes.
and B and
he
back
knew.
in high school.
I think he knew. I think he followed me back because he knew. He knows what's up. But technically I met him on Instagram in reality because I didn't know him in high school at all. Which is funny because I'm older, but I met him on social media, and that's usually like a Gen X thing.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah. Well, I feel like social media is just the tool of life, like that we live in now. It's you know, people make their money through Instagram or just any platform. They, you know, date, they meet. I mean, it might not be someone's preferred way, but I feel like that is the start of a lot of.
He was the only man though that I ever went on a date with through social media. And the only man that I ever gave a chance through social media, the only man that I ever accepted a date by talking on Instagram.
Oh, okay.
Was it because you guys had mutuals?
I think so, because I knew who he was through mutuals. Like I knew his family, who his family was and things like that. So I just felt comfortable.
That makes sense.
I don't think I would have been comfortable if he was just a rando on Instagram. Like, I would have ignored it like the rest of them.
Yes.
You know?
Just
so that made me comfortable.
Yeah.
I kind of knew of him.
And he has kids.
Yes. So he has 2 from a previous marriage.
And you have a one.
And I was never married.
Okay. And how old were you when you got pregnant?
So I had my son really young. I had my son at 16.
Okay.
So when I had my son young, I knew that, okay, this wasn't planned, all that good stuff. And so I knew I wasn't going to have either any more kids because I never wanted more than one kid, or I wasn't going to have kids until older. So even though that had happened, I was going to ensure that I wasn't going to have any more kids or get married to an older age. I always knew I wasn't going to get married until older. I always knew, and I always told everybody that marriage wasn't something that I wanted to do at a young age. And then he comes from a different situation because he did get married young.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, that kind of shows the statistics of getting married young doesn't always work out.
Yes. Yeah. I was in a 8-year relationship, and he's a really great guy. And everyone always asks me, like, what happened? What happened? And I always have the same response. We just got together really young. Like, how realistic is it to be with your high school sweetheart forever? It's just not, know? It makes everything way more complicated, and you just essentially grow apart because you're just growing individually, and you're not always going to grow at the same pace.
No. I talk to my clients about this all the time because there's so much just talk within the four walls that doesn't get out. And I always tell them, I go, you have to understand when you get married young, when you look at the success rate of couples that get married, say right out of high school or at 20, 21 years old, the only ones that have made it and stood the test of time, it's only usually because one of the partners effed something up, and then that other person stayed and dealt with it, and they powered through and kept going. Usually the man, right? So I always tell people, when you see someone that's been with somebody since they were high school sweethearts, again, this is just a stereotype. This is generalizing. There are some that obviously are great. But most of the time it's because they just stayed.
Yes. Oh, they're getting dragged through fucking mud.
It's like the whole ride or die thing. It's like, no, you're not meant to ride or die. That's not how it works. I don't want to die in the process of being married to you.
No, literally. So grateful for redirection.
No, literally.
Because definitely was planning on getting married right out of high school.
Really? To your high school sweetheart?
We were together like throughout our whole high school, and I was like, yeah, when graduate, we'll get a mobile home, get married, have a bunch of kids. It's just funny. I'm like, no.
You would have probably statistically ended up in divorce, unfortunately, sad to say, or you would have dealt with things in your marriage that should have you leave, that are deal breakers and non-negotiables, but you would have stayed. And then everyone looks at you guys like, oh, they've been together since high school. It's so amazing. It's couple goals. It's like, it's really not. It's really not.
You just don't know what goes on behind closed doors.
No, you don't. And I didn't want to do that. Even having a kid really young, it was important for me not to marry young because I had the maturity, at least at that time, to know that I don't know who I am. I don't know what I want. I don't even know if I want to be married. I mean, at that time I was thinking. So I think getting married older is just so much better for most people. I think especially men. Because most of the time men, they're not even fully, I think, in their masculine. They're not fully ready to be providers. They're not fully ready to take on a family and all the stress that they have to carry with that, or even essentially be able to commit, you know, with monogamy often until they're older. Because, I mean, I would think that they're just like raging bulls when they're young. And it's hard to tame that. I mean, it's a hormonal thing.
Yeah.
You know?
I'm really against dating men my age or younger. I just think that would be a horrible choice on my part. I always like a little older, but yeah, I'm like, and no man in his 20s is ready to actually settle down and be with you forever and be faithful.
The only man that is the man that really is pulling nobody. Like, you are the only girl at his door, and he just thinks you're the best thing that has ever walked this earth because he doesn't have a lot of opportunity. I mean, let's be real. I've seen it. There's men that don't have a lot of opportunity. And I mean, bless them, you know? And so the first girl comes along and they're just happy to have her. Just happy to have her. But in most cases, men do have options, especially in today's day and age. You look around and you're just like, wow, there's so many options. I mean, with social media, with dating apps, with this new like polyamorous kind of like mentality that people are having, they're not going to be faithful.
Yes.
They're not going to be faithful to you.
Yes.
You know?
Yeah, definitely. If you're a man and you have money, you have options. If you're a woman and you're beautiful, you have options. And if you are a man with no money, then, you know, you do have to just start actually being good to women because and if you have no money and no like good looks, right? If the genetic pool wasn't on your side, you have to be good to women. You're not going to come across a bunch of amazing women that want to be down for you. You're going to come across maybe 1, 2, 3 at the most, and you'll probably for sure fuck up the 2, and you better settle with the 3 before you start balding.
Yeah, because they don't have like women lined up at their doorstep. But typically men that are in their 20s, they do have women lined up at their doorstep just because of the ratio itself. I mean, there's more women than men statistically. So it's just harder for them to settle down. And I didn't get married older because I think men were going to cheat on me in my 20s. I got married older because I didn't want to get married. As a woman, I didn't want to get married until I had all my own stuff. That was a big deal for me. So when I got married at 40, I had my own house. I had my own business. I don't have massive debt. I don't have credit card debt. I'm not in school, all these things. So I was truly, fully an independent woman that I'm only now getting married because I want to. That's it. If I got married when I was younger, there would be factors involved. Like, okay, well, can he help me financially? Let's do this together. Let's grow and build an empire together. I didn't want to do that. I was like, I want to do everything on my own. So if I meet someone, it might be rare. I might never get married. But if I do, it's going to be, this is it. This is because I just love you. It's purely because I love you. And that's it.
Because you're looking for love, not help.
Yeah,
exactly. I'm not looking for help. I don't need him to come save me. I mean, he is a provider. Don't get me wrong with that. And that's another reason why I married him. But I don't need that. I don't need him to lead. I don't need him to provide. I don't need him to put a roof over my head or anything. I came bringing something truly to the table that's mine. And if, God forbid, something was to happen, I take that with me. And I think that women need to protect themselves. I mean, you're living in Delulu land if you think that, you're going to get married and it could last forever. I mean, I'd like to think mine's going to be forever. I think that we have like a covenant under God. I think that this is it. But at least I know in my heart of hearts, if something goes wrong, I'm well established on my own. And I don't know a lot of early 20-something women that are well established, or they're working towards it. They get with a guy, they get married, they get divorced. And what happens? You have to, he could take all of it.
Yes. Yeah.
And you're working so hard for like the little that you have at that age, and you don't want that. So I feel like being established and protecting yourself as a female, you should wait till you're older as well. It's just smarter.
And right about now, all the men are typing crazy comments. So can you show the ring really quick? Can we do a ring cam? Yeah, they didn't like that. Can you go like this?
So you're going to hate, and that's fine. Let the comments come. Because you know what? With my ring, you can see right through it. So this is my ring from my man. Shout out to my man.
It's a very nice ring.
Yes, it is.
Very beautiful.
And that's also another pro
Very
getting
big.
married
Yes.
older, because a lot of these young men want you to settle with a fucking pebble on your hand.
And you know what? And I don't want to be materialistic about it, but I do feel like a man shouldn't be proposing to a woman until he's ready to say, I can lead, I can provide, I can pay the bills, I can get you your dream ring. I'm ready as well. So it's not just women getting married older. I think everybody shouldn't get married until they're older. And I know kids and having children, that's a thing for women with age. But there's girls that have kids in their 30s and they're fine. They act like having a kid at 34 is like you're an old maid having a baby at 50.
Oh, yeah. No,
you're not. You're perfectly in sound mind and you're healthy to have a baby at 34.
Yes. Yeah. And she counted all those reasons with the ring on her finger.
Yes.
I 100%, like, that's my biggest thing. I will not get... I do not want to get pregnant until I'm at least in my 30s. Like, even 30 seems a little to me, but like 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, like that would be my ideal to get pregnant. And, obviously you got to take care of yourself. Obviously you got to have that in mind if you want to have a baby at an older age.
If you're overweight at 31 and you're obese and you're diabetic and you can't even get out of bed and you have no energy and you eat McDonald's every day and your pregnancy probably, I don't know. I'm no doctor. I don't pretend to be a doctor for the record, but yeah, you're going to have a harder time.
Yes.
I would think.
You have
For sure.
You have to have it, whatever your intention is, you have to make sure that your daily life is meeting up with that intention to, you know, so, but you obviously take great care of yourself.
Thank you.
Had
I not had my son so young in the way that it happened, I know I would not have had kids until my 30s. The way that I knew that I was waiting for the one, I was waiting for the right man for me, and I wouldn't get married till I'm older. I stood on that. I didn't get married. I was with somebody in my 20s for almost 13 years, off and on. And essentially we broke up, I think because he wanted to get married, and it scared me because I wasn't ready. And so it didn't work out. And thank God it didn't, because I met my husband, you know, who's right for me. And I would have ended up in divorce. If I would have married my ex in my 20s, I would have ended up in divorce. Probably because of me, to be honest, not even probably because of him. So getting married when you're 40 is great. You know, I think if you look good and you feel good, 40 doesn't really, it's just a number that's man-made. Time, the calendar, age, your birthdays, that's all not real if you really want to get deep with
true.
it. It's your cells and your body and your health tells your age. Like there's new testing now that you can take that says like, okay, how old are you really? You know, I always tell people, I feel like I'm 31.
You look it.
Yeah, you do.
No, you really
for sure.
No, you really look.
Oh my God, the comments are gonna be like, she looks 48.
We get it all the time. That. Yeah,
really? You do.
Yes, that's why I thought you were just like
older, like 30, getting married.
Yeah, I was just like, oh, okay.
There was a 4-year-old about to come on.
That's
not what I envisioned.
Right. Yeah.
And then I walk in, I'm like, surprise.
Yeah.
Exactly. No, yeah, it just wasn't registering to me, and then you said it again.
I just need to come here every day so I can get my affirmations and my self-esteem, you know. But I mean, I have been told I look younger. My husband's the same way. I think that my husband looks younger for his age. So I think the key is to date older, get married older, and wait and be patient, but find someone that does keep you young and feeling young. And how we were saying earlier, like doesn't deplete you.
Yes.
You know, it doesn't like rob you. And I run into people all the time and I'm like, oh girl, you look like you went through hell and back.
Yes.
You know?
That's the thing.
I'm sorry, but
no, it's the truth. A lot of women are so young, and they once upon a time, not saying that they're still not beautiful, but they held a lot more beauty, but then they date men that just completely
rob them of it.
And it's just, yeah, like if you want to stay looking beautiful, you can't let men wear you down and stress you out to the core. Like that is the number one thing that's going to have you looking fucked up.
I think I looked older when I wasn't married compared to now.
You have like that glow.
Yeah, I think married life, when you marry the right person at the right time, because we're talking about timing, right? I'm more well rested. I hit that pillow and I just sleep in peace. I'm not checking his phone and worrying and locations and, oh, he wants to go out with his friends, so you know I should probably let him. I don't want to be controlling and like all these things that like we're human, girls go through, men go through, people when they're young. And now I'm just like, I just sleep like a rock. I feel like I'm just aging backwards. I really do love that. He put me backwards in a good way. And I think it's good for him too.
I like that.
You know?
Shout out to him if he's watching this right now.
He's watching.
Or giving you your flowers.
Yeah, he gives me flowers every day. He takes me on trips. He randomly plans spontaneous dates. I knew what I wanted in a ring. He went above and beyond that, you know. He works hard for me and all these things. So when people say like, oh, you can't find good men, you can. It's like we were talking earlier. You just have to look in the right pond or the right ocean. If you keep going to this lake and you're pulling dead ass fish, you know, maybe you shouldn't fish there anymore. Stop going to Guasti Park. Like, why don't we go to like the Amalfi Coast and fish there, and you'll get a better, you know, fresh fish. So men are like fish, you know. It's like, where are you fishing?
Just floppy and smelly.
Yeah, like the Pacific Ocean, like Newport Beach, where it's all grimy. Or are we going to
The
Saint
tropics.
Tropez? Like,
Yeah.
you know,
The
Saint
tropics.
Tropez. Like,
Yeah.
you know, I don't know. I just feel like you need to like really know where am I dating these? Where am I finding these men? How am I finding these men? So it's not always about age, but getting married later is always good.
How can you tell when a man is high value?
You can tell a man is high value by how he treats other people when it's not convenient for him. That's like the number one thing that my husband actually taught me, because I was always dating men that they do what's convenient for them at the time and what benefits them in that moment, which is nothing's wrong with that because we're all opportunists, you know. But when I met him, he goes so far and beyond for other people without even asking. Like, they know, oh, we're moving today. We need a truck. We need someone to help us. Call him. Like, he's right there. And that's not convenient for him. You know what I mean? He goes above and beyond for people, even when it's not convenient for him. I think that's high value because that shows that he cares for others. That's not in his best interest, that he has integrity with like his relationships around him. And I never had that, I think, with other guys. Other guys, you know, in my younger times in dating, they always just kind of did it if you asked them, if they had to, and they would complain. And I don't just mean like doing things for me. I just mean in life in general. That's one. Another is humbleness. My man does very well for himself, but he's not like new money.
Okay.
He's not loud with it. And I think that I used to
He has not to prove that he has
No. And I think my problem is I used to be attracted to the loud, you know, and then his value is not in things. His value is in his long-term goals. What is he going to be able to do for the next generation financially? Where are his investments and how are his investments doing? And playing like the long game versus like cars, chains,
toys,
things like that. So when you see a high value man, you're like, okay, like where does his investments lay? You know, what does his business accounts look like? Where does he choose to put his money? You know, how does he spend his money? It's not so much does he have it. People think because a man has money, he's high value. Value as in currency. Value is not currency. It's what you do with that currency in a long game. And does he have the capacity to do the long game? Does he even have the mental, emotional capability to do the long game? Yeah, that's high value for sure. That's high value.
That.
Wow.
Also just how he treats you on a day-to-day basis, you know, when he's tired, when he's grouchy, when he's angry, when things aren't going right for him. Like, does he still treat you like in a high regard? I don't think my husband's ever called me anything but my name, you know, or like cute names.
Yeah. Like he's never calling you out your name. Yeah.
Or when he has a bad day, he doesn't really take that out on me. Like he really knows where to place his emotions. So
that's important.
Yeah. Like, where do you place your emotions? Like, is your guy high value if he's having a bad day and he's coming and like throwing that on you and venting it on you? I mean, yeah, you want to be there for your partner, but a high value man isn't even going to concern you with that. Like he's handling it up here, you know, like this is level stuff that he doesn't need to like bother you with. And when he came about, I was like, oh, sir, like, like, I don't even know, like, his stresses. I don't know. I mean, it's kind of like the, what do they call it something? Like you turn your brain off.
Oh, yeah.
Like my brain is so shut off at this point. I don't know what stresses him out because he doesn't bring that to me. I mean, it's not that I'm not there for him. It's just, he's so high value that he doesn't bring that home. I don't know. I guess I don't know if I'm explaining it right. But
no, you definitely aren't. This is just like any man that's watching this right now. This just goes to show how well taken care of she is, that how highly she's even able to speak of him. Yeah. And like with such like a light in your eyes. Yes. And conviction. Yes. Because you can tell you're getting treated right.
Yes. Yeah. And I've had it. And it's not like, oh, well, she's had nothing but trash relationships and this one guy throws her a bone and she's happy. No, I've had had a good relationship. I know what a good relationship's like, but there's good and then there's great.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
It's like there's there's good and there's great. That's the only way I can describe it. And when you search for a high value man, it just takes over your whole life. It changes the way you think. It changes the way that you maneuver. It changes who you choose to hang out with. It changes your integrity too, you know? Like, I feel ghetto compared to him sometimes. I'm like, oh shoot, like he keeps me on my toes. Like, I need to like get it together, you know? Because sometimes he'll say, hey, you know, like, what do you think about this? Or, you know, that. And I'm like, damn, he's right. He's right. And I want to say
gave you a new perspective.
Yeah. I'm like, oh, I shouldn't do that.
And just because like man is good, a lot of people I think get confused. They're like, okay, I met a good guy, but just because a guy's good doesn't necessarily mean he's good for you. He's compatible with you.
No.
You know, people sometimes will just like go with whatever they
settle.
Yeah, a lot of people settle. A lot of people would not be in relationships right now if they weren't down to settle and they weren't down to put up with a bunch of bullshit. You know, like, but people don't want to be alone, and that's the price that they're gonna have to pay.
But you have to be able to be alone. I mean, I talk to all my clients at New to Nurture that are, you know, in their early 20s, and they don't want to be alone. I'm like, why? You're in your prime, girl. This is prime time. This is the best you're ever gonna look, the best your skin will ever be. You can wear whatever the hell you want. Like, you're never going to look better than how you look now in your 20s. Not to say that I don't look good at 40 or people can't look great when they're older, but you do look better when you're younger. So why not be alone? Isn't this the time to be alone? Like, why do you want to settle down so early, which is settling for someone who's just good? There's a lot of good people, but like you said, there's not everyone is good for you. You know, I don't see like why people do that. I don't get it. It's like, you look good. Be alone. I was celibate before I met my husband. And it wasn't until I became celibate, I think I was celibate over a year. And that's when I feel like I leveled up. I don't think I could have got to the high value man until I became more of a high value woman. And I'm not saying to be celibate. I'm not saying that there's people that are actively having sex and dating life, and that's fine too. But I'm just saying I had to do what was self-care for me to become high value, to feel high value, to act high value, and then to attract high value.
Yes.
You know, It's like I couldn't get out of the pond that we were talking about because I myself had only been there. I didn't know.
You didn't even know that there was other ponds.
You know, like you wish it, you want it, you think it, but you don't really know. You're just like, really,
you're just not like going there.
Yeah.
Well, what would you tell your younger self? What's the message you give to your younger self or to just younger girls?
In relation to relationships and marriage? Definitely wait till you're a little bit older, because if that person who you're with is your person now, he'll be your person later. He's not going anywhere. So what's the point of rushing? Why not see how it goes? Why not let him build himself so that he can be a better man later for you, or give yourself time to finish school? I don't understand the point of rushing and getting married under 25 years old. I would say wait. There's a lot of development and growth that you're not going to see until you're older. That isn't going to come until later. So you need to really just wait it out, and he'll be there. And if he's not there, then there's your answer. You know, definitely wait. And wait, but don't play house, because then that defeats the purpose. I did not live with my husband until we got engaged and got married. So he moved in the process of planning the fucking wedding. You better be planning that wedding. That venue better be booked with the ring on my finger. And then you can move in, or I move in, or whatever we decided to do.
I like that.
Because if you play house, then you are married. You don't need a paper to be married. I truly believe that. So do not live with somebody and just be a wife without being a true wife. Because I know it sounds cliche, but if he wanted to, he would, right?
No,
that's
100%
for a reason.
Yeah. You don't, that's the same thing like with being in a situationship or talking to someone. Why would you do all the girlfriend things?
He's never going to make you his girlfriend. He doesn't have to.
No, exactly.
Why?
The men have to like set in stone their intention with you before they can unlock levels within you that they are deserving of.
And I say this not because I'm perfect or because I, never lived with somebody before I got married. I lived with somebody before and that did not turn out well. And I truly believe it didn't work out because I was giving him all the wifely things and he had no need to be motivated. Men are hunters. They need to hunt. They need to be motivated for something, and I wasn't giving him any motivation to marry me. Why? He came home to a cooked meal, me in his bed, free sex every night. When I say free, I mean by not married, not by, anything else. And he was comfortable. Yes. So I don't think that you should live with somebody for mad years when you're young. Because it doesn't benefit him, not just you. It doesn't benefit him. You're keeping him stagnant. You're keeping him low level. You're keeping him from not having to be motivated. You need to say, no, if you want to be with me, you need to be doing X, Y, and Z. The same he needs to be with us. If we want to be with him, well then, hey, this is what I need from you as well. Like it's both ways.
It's a two-way street.
Yeah,
it's
for
a two-way
sure.
street. And I think people don't think that. People think that all us women, we're just on here to say, what are you doing for me? You need to do all these things. I say that, but meaning that I know what I need to do as well, But how do you know what you need to do if you're 22 and you're barely paying your first few bills? And you haven't even really lived. Like, life hasn't lived yet.
Life has not lived.
No.
At 22.
No.
You haven't even been through any, trials or tribulations. I mean, some people have. I had at a young age, but I'm a rare exception.
Yeah.
And having a baby young, all those things.
Yeah. And even if you've experienced a lot of things at 22, it's still, you still are up against time. Like, you still have only lived 22 years of life.
Yeah,
that's going to be different at 25, 27, 30, 35. It's just every year you could look back just from a year ago and you could be like, holy shit, so much has changed.
Yeah.
You're not just, even if you've gone through the most at 22, you still unfortunately haven't seen it all. You still got a lot more to go. You got a lot more shit to go through.
But I think it's hard in your early 20s to have that mindset because you are in the mindset of a 22-year-old person.
Oh, yeah.
So it's hard for them to comprehend that they're not grown. Because when I was 22, I thought I was grown. I was like, you couldn't tell me nothing, So
we all did.
Yeah. So it's just kind of like, my advice would be to wait it out. If you love that person, they're going to be there in a few years, they're not going anywhere. Motivate each other and use the energy towards that. That would be my advice. But this is coming from someone who chose to wait. And I'm just glad that I did, I think a lot of people always say, oh, you're 40. How does it feel like being an old bride? And, you only have a second part of life with your person. And I'm like, that's not true. I mean, majority of people die at 80 years old. I have 40 years with this man. That's a whole ass life.
Yes.
It's not oh no, we only get 10 years. Let's make it good ones.
Yeah.
It's not like that.
And you guys are both established, so you guys get to live the best of the best. You guys get to go on the trips. You guys get to do what your guys' kids are grown.
He is able to treat me and spoil me like a wife and cater to me. I think if I had met him when I was 25, he would not have been able to do that. And that's not no detriment to him. It's just he's 25 years old. You can only do what you're capable of, But even if you're a billionaire and you're rich at 25, I don't think you have the capacity to be married and be a husband. And I'm going to get so much backlash for this. It's going to be oh, who is she to say? It's just because she couldn't make it work in her 20s and all that. And I mean, that's fine, but show me the numbers.
No, girl.
Show me the statistics. That's all I'm saying.
They got to listen to, because their argument to us is saying that with no ring on your finger. Well, yeah, you heard it with someone with the ring on their finger.
And that's other advice too. My advice also to young women is don't listen to people who should not be giving advice. They're listening to their aunts and moms and friends and neighbors that are not married, that are divorced, that are on, multiple marriages and things like that. And I'm just why would you take advice from them? They don't They can't even get their own life together.
Yeah.
Why would you listen to them at all?
You shouldn't take advice from anyone you wouldn't switch places with.
No, exactly. People used to tell me all the time, like, oh my God, you're in your 30s, you're not married, are you lonely? And I'm like, why would I be lonely? Like, I have such a fulfilled life. If your life isn't fulfilled, there's a problem. Like, you need to reassess what you're doing. You shouldn't need marriage to feel fulfilled.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
So if you're like, oh my God, I'm 30 and I'm so lonely. Well, marriage is not going to fix the loneliness. Therapy or something else.
Yeah, friends,
it's something more deeper rooted.
Yeah, because you could be with someone and you could still feel alone. That's an inner thing. So yeah, there's so much more to life. Obviously, having a loved one, all that to share with is amazing. Mm-hmm. But, there's such things as friends and family outings and just personal hobbies. And, there's a lot of life to live. And while you're alive, you should live it.
When I met my husband, I was so busy. I had just left my career. I was starting this business, New to Nurture, and I had friends, and I was going to dinners, and I was going on girlfriend trips, and I was spending time with family, and I was so busy building this business. I don't need I don't need to be married. Mm-hmm. So if you're using marriage as like your like ladder to get somewhere, that's not what marriage is supposed to be about. Mm-hmm. I feel like marriage is such a business transaction, like nowadays, and it really shouldn't be. I mean, finances matter, but it shouldn't be your ladder up.
Yes.
And if you're young, it's gonna be.
Yes. Mama, can you turn the air on?
Yes.
We're hot.
Yeah, I was thinking that, but I didn't want to.
Oh, okay. Lenna, do you have any questions for her?
I think that was all on my end.
Yeah.
But it was so nice meeting you.
Thank you.
Yes. You did really good. The plate is licked fucking clean.
Like, I had a question and she gave me like a way better answer than I could have ever asked for.
No, you did really good.
I'm cool.
Like, I know you was hungry the way you came and you ate on this podcast.
They're going to come for me. They're going to be like, she's this old maid. She doesn't know. She's talking about probably nobody wanted her in her 20s. It's going to be the whole thing.
But they're just a bunch of incels.
It's good. Bring it on. It's good publicity.
Yeah. They're always like, no matter what you say on the internet as a woman, the angry men with pitchforks are going to come regardless. But you did so good. Like, wow, this was very insightful. Yeah. You articulate yourself very well.
Oh, thank you.
You're very beautiful, very put together, and
you're going to inspire a bunch of young women.
Yes.
Yeah.
I want to inspire them to wait it out and establish yourself and be your best self so that when you meet a high value man, you are able to be on his level and have him wife you up.
Yes. Match his freak.
Yes. High value men are not going to marry everybody they date. Exactly. They'll date everybody, but they're only going to marry who they really, really choose.
Yes.
So.
Yes.
And this is coming from a traditional standpoint, I know, but like, let's go back a little bit to that traditional value. That's what we're losing.
Oh yeah. No, we definitely need to go back a little bit because it's getting real fucking weird out here.
Yeah, it really is.
Well, thank you so much for coming on.
Yes, thank you.
Feeding us the knowledge we so very much needed. And shout out your business one more time in case they skip it.
Nude and Nurture in Rancho Cucamonga, IG nude NUDE _ nurture NURTURE. I'm also on TikTok n.nurture. Grab the skincare, it's poppin'. Come get body sculpt, come for your post-op services, or just come get some therapy while you're at it.
She's amazing. I've gone there, so she's amazing. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.